Hi once again, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel. Welcome back to the NFL Today. Coming up next here on CBS, it's the Tennessee Titans against Jacksonville, or the Texans taking on in the AFC. In the NFC, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are winning with 2 minutes to play. If they win, they will supplant the Giants as the number 3 seed in the NFC, and they will have won the NFC South. The Dallas Cowboys are still alive. We'll see you back here at halftime with scores and highlights. Coming up, it's game time on the NFL Today. We'll send you out to your game after this.
Monster Park on a cloudy, windy afternoon in San Francisco. The Texans and the 49ers, and at stake could be the number 1 pick in this year's NFL draft. Houston has the inside track, a loss today, and they will finish at 2-14 and get the first choice overall. Should the Texans win, that could create a logjam at 3-13. So an unusual day here in Week 17 in San Francisco. Bill McAtee along with Rich Gannon. We wish all of you a happy new year, and really odd circumstances for the players and the fans. The Texans have been hearing all week, hey, wouldn't it be great if you guys lost?
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, they're focused on winning today. Both the players and coaches, they're all being evaluated. They're going to let the management and the ownership worry about the draft.
Well, should the Texans have the number 1 pick, and should Reggie Bush declare, is he the answer for the Houston Texans?
Well, I think Reggie Bush is going to be a great player, but I think that the Texans would be better served trading that pick and trying to accumulate a number of players to help this franchise.
Meanwhile, last year's number 1 pick, Alex Smith, has yet to throw his first NFL touchdown pass. How important is it today, A, for him to get that touchdown pass, and B, to finish the season strong?
Well, it'd be nice for him to get a touchdown, but more importantly, to build on what happened a week ago. They had a big win in their come from behind win against the Rams. It's important for him to get off to a good start and finish the season strong.
Mike Nolan winding up his first year as head coach of the 49ers. He'd like to start next season coming off a 2-game winning streak. And Dom Capers' speculation is that this will be his last game as the head coach of the Houston Texans, the only coach the Texans have ever had. He expects to sit down with Bob McNair, the Texans owner, in the next few days to talk about the future. Texans won the toss, and they'll receive, and we're underway here in San Francisco. A squibber taken by Mathis, who's headed to the Pro Bowl. The speedster brought down hard at the 36-yard line, and that's where the Texans will take over 1st and 10. David Carr coming off what he believes is his best performance of the year last week. Here's what he had to say.
Today, to be successful against the 49ers, we have to take advantage of our opportunities. If the offensive line blocks up their looks and gives me some time to let the receivers win down the field, we should be in good hands.
19 of 29 for 295 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception last week, a quarterback rating of 107.7. They spotted at the 35-yard line. Carr off the play action, swings it out into the flat. Vernon Morency, and Morency battles for a first down. Well, Bryant Young anchors that 49er defensive line. Here's what he said about the Texans today.
To be successful against Houston, we need to play sound defense, eliminate the big play, stop the run, and get out the quarterback in the situations when they're passing.
Well, 1st and 10 for the Texans. David Carr is checking off from the 47-yard line. Just underway here in San Francisco. Morency out near midfield.
Well, you expect the Texans to come out and be aggressive like last week, take some shots on the early downs. That's really where they had some success a week ago, and you see them starting the game with a pass. And David Carr told us, if I get some time, the guys up front can hold up. We really feel like we can take advantage of the secondary of the 49ers that's really been depleted.
2nd and call it 8. The 49-yard line. 4NC, and he's into San Francisco territory, brought down hard by Anthony Adams, the nose tackle. Well, the weather's going to be a factor today. Right now it's gusting up to 30 miles an hour. The forecast is for the wind to get all the way up to 45, 50 miles an hour.
Both these coaches were on the field earlier watching their quarterbacks warm up to see just how much it affected them in the passing game. And I really believe the shorter 3- and 5-step throws, it won't really be a factor, but more so in the deeper throws downfield.
3rd and 5 for the Texans. Carr. The out route incomplete. Jerome Mathis was the intended receiver. He's well covered over there by the nickelback, B.J. Tucker.
Well, B.J. Tucker got abused a little bit last week, and the Texans go right after him, and he's not fooled. He sits on that out route. Mathis trying to run the out right underneath him, and B.J. Tucker does a nice job sitting up in there waiting for that break.
So we'll see Chad Stanley, and Otis Amy is back deep for San Francisco, standing at his own 10-yard line. Low snap, well fielded. Short punt. Takes a Texans bounce and is downed at about the 17-yard line. No score in San Francisco. Welcome back, and in the race for the #1 draft choice, the Bush Bowl. These are the teams that really are still alive. The Jets and the Packers both won earlier today. So Houston on top or on bottom, but New Orleans is still alive, and so are the 49ers. They throw the ball on 1st down and incomplete. Brandon Lloyd, the intended receiver. And we have a penalty flag.
To the hands to the face. Number 77 offense. Half the distance to the goal, repeat 1st down.
Dwayne Harris. Well, Alex Smith, his first win as an NFL starter last week. Here's Alex on the San Francisco offense.
To be successful versus Houston today, I think we first of all have to be smart with the football. Turnovers in the NFL can kill you, and that's something today we have to eliminate. I think secondly, we have to take advantage of our matchups outside. I think we're going to get our one-on-ones, and we have to take advantage of those when we get them. And up front, I think we have to continue to be able to run the ball, stay efficient with that, because that's only going to open up other things outside.
Well, they keep it on the ground. It's been since the preseason. The last time Smith threw a touchdown pass, the longest stretch of his life. And a few words. Well, the Texans expected to go after Alex Smith a little bit today. Here's Seth Payne with the Houston defense.
This is Seth Payne, defensive tackle. Big key today is going to be putting a lot of pressure on Alex Smith with getting his face, be real physical against their offensive line, who are physical themselves, and hopefully force Alex Smith to make some bad decisions.
2nd and 15. And we have a whistle and a flag.
Number 85 offense. 5-yard penalty. Excuse me, half the distance to the goal, 2nd down.
Things really getting sorted out now with just half the day remaining. All the spots are taken in the AFC. Pittsburgh winning today, so they got the 6th spot. They will be the 6th seed in the postseason. 3 wide receivers set for the 49ers after the penalty. Back at the 5-yard line, they run the draw to Hicks. Maurice Hicks, who had a 73-yard run on the first play from scrimmage last week against the Rams.
Well, you look at the brackets here, and there's New England-Jacksonville game. New England getting hot right now. Bill, I like New England at home, especially, and of course the Pittsburgh-Cincinnati. I don't know, that's a toss-up to me. I just, Cincinnati today, the way they played defensively, they've not been consistent enough down the stretch, especially in the last month of the season.
4 wide receivers set for San Francisco. 3rd and long. Smith under pressure, and he's sacked. Jason Babin with his 3rd sack of the season.
One of the things that has hurt this football team is they're obviously poor on 3rd down. One of the reasons why is they've been so bad on 1st and 2nd down. They've got themselves in some big numbers on 3rd down, and converting only 23% of their third downs, and that's a problem when you're getting big numbers on third down, and that a lot of it is with the youth, the inexperience, the penalties on first and second down that push them behind in the down and distance.
So the Texans will have good field position. Donovan Morgan standing back at his own 46-yard line. This is off the side of Andy Lee's foot. And good field position becomes great field position. 11:05 remaining, no score.
To get full-on value, think outside the bun.
Just hear those sleigh bells jingling, ring, ting, tingling.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 40. The 244-horsepower Pilot, built by Honda. And by refreshingly smooth Bud Light, always worth it.
An interesting thing, the Texans won the toss and the 49ers took the win, but you saw that last punt. Real inconsistent win patterns here. Sometimes you'll think you have the win in your favor, and as it turns out, the same series, the win will swirl back and forth in this stadium.
After the 18-yard punt from the 21-yard line, Carr keeps it to Morency. Making his first start today, and he's down to the 16, close to the 15-yard line. Let's take a look at the NFC playoff picture. 1 through 4 are all set. Second and 4. Morency inside the 10. Well, CBS Sportsline NFL experts Pete Prisco and Clark Judge will have next weekend's playoff matchups covered from every angle. Get the very latest news and analysis all week long at CBSSportsline.com.
Well, the Texans have stayed in this personnel group, in their 2 tight end personnel group. 49ers said they're usually in one of two groupings. This is one of them. They've had a lot of success with the play action off this as well as the stretch play.
First and goal. Morency. Down to the 3-yard line. Brandon Moore, the inside linebacker, made the tackle along with Shante Spencer.
And Derek Smith, the linebacker for the 49ers, told us yesterday they're not hard to figure out. They're just going to line up and try and run the ball downhill with that offensive line, playing better the last month, and then run the play action game off of that. They don't really trust themselves in terms of protections, and so David Carr will mostly be in the 3- and 5-step throws.
Carr on the move, throws it away. Andre Johnson was well covered on the play.
This is another thing that the Texans have done, some quarterback movement to get David Carr out of the pocket, out on the edge where he feels more comfortable, and actually his quarterback rating is significantly better when he's outside the pocket. A lot of it has to do with the fact that he spent so much of his time on his back. 68 sacks coming into today's game, and again, that leads the National Football League.
Third and goal. Carr, the fade to Johnson, incomplete. Shante Spencer. Spencer knocked it away.
Well, the Texans trying to fool the 49ers. They go to a trips formation to the right, try and single up Andre Johnson on Shante Spencer. And Spencer just does a nice job. He sees the ball, and right at the last second, when he sees Andre Johnson go up for it, he extends and gets his hand up just enough to knock that one away.
So we'll see Chris Brown, and in these windy conditions, you can't take anything for granted. 21-yard field goal try. Good. So the Texans are on the board first with 9:14 left in the opening period.
Nice. They've got this thing called this Brazilian
time! Bud Light. Just breathe, Ted. Just breathe. Refreshing.
Texans with a short field, but only able to come away with 3 points. 6 plays, 18 yards. Took under 2 minutes.
Field position is going to be so huge in this game with the wind swirling around. You saw how the Texans were able to take advantage of that poor kick poor punt by the 49ers. And again, field position huge, especially in these conditions.
And they'll have to have someone hold it. These windy conditions right now, gusting to 30 miles an hour. And believe it or not, it could get worse as the afternoon rolls on. Otis Amy and Jason McGadley are the deep men for San Francisco, both standing about the 5-yard line. Brown with the kick. It's hung up in the breeze, taken by Amy at the 10. And Amy is spun down at the 23-yard line. Well, CBS Sports Line's Clark Judge talked to us a little bit about the upcoming draft. Here is who he believes will be the top 3 picks.
My top 3 picks in the draft are Reggie Bush, running back from USC. He's everybody's #1 pick. Second pick would be Matt Leinart. Could have been the #1 pick last year. Could be the #1 pick this year, except Reggie Bush is in the draft. And the third pick would be DeBrickashaw Ferguson, offensive tackle from the University of Virginia.
Ferguson is a player that certainly the Texans could use. Help on that offensive line. Second possession for the 49ers. Couple of hard-fought yards from Maurice Hicks. And of course, Rich, the great debate is whether or not you would take a player like Reggie Bush or you trade the pick and try to accumulate some personnel to fill holes on your squad.
Well, I think both of these teams would like a Reggie Bush or a DeBrickashaw Ferguson, but if I'm David Carr and I'm the Texans, I like to get myself a big tackle out of Virginia, an athletic guy that they think really is going to be a great player in this league. That's the guy that I'd want.
2nd and 8. Hicks lowers his shoulder down to the 29-yard line. Antoine Peak made the stop. And let's take a look at this week's edition of Gannon Fodder.
Well, San Francisco's offense, Alex Smith, hey, you had your best performance last week in a come-from-behind win against the Rams. Keep it going and get yourself a touchdown pass today. Texans defensively, hey, the 49ers, they don't want their quarterback to throw it 30 times. They want to run it. Don't let them do it. Get up around that line of scrimmage, crowd them, and make Alex Smith beat you.
3rd and 5. Smith back in the shotgun. Terry Jones, the tight end, was the motion man. Smith, and he's sacked. And again, it's Jason Babbitt, his 2nd sack of the day already.
Well, Jason Babbitt, he's had some injuries earlier. He was the #1 pick a year ago, and he's really come on. You'll see him working against Kwame Harris, and that's just a mismatch. He's just too athletic a guy, and he just beats him around the edge, and Alex Smith really has no chance.
Jason Babbitt has come back from shoulder injury earlier this season and played well here in the closing weeks. Donovan Morgan is back deep, ready for the punt. And it's blocked. Picked up by the 49ers. Well, the conditions, the play so far, just about what you'd expect from teams at 2-13 and 3-12.
Well, that's Ramon Walker, and he almost got the other one when they were backed up, and he just gets around the edge. Chris Heatherton doesn't get enough of him, just gets his hand in there at the end, and what happened was he almost got the other one, so he's not going to take a play off. He feels like he can get home, and it's just what happens there. It makes a big play for the Texans.
So the Texans in their previous possession started at the 21. They go here from the 17-yard line. Corey Bradford, and that may have lost a yard or two.
I got to ask you, Bill, you look down at these players, the Texans, it doesn't look to me like any of them are taking this day off. They're competitive. Hey, they want to win. They're professionals. They're not worried at all about the draft and Reggie Bush.
2nd and 12 for NC. Derek Smith, the inside linebacker, the 49ers leading tackler, made the stop. Let's go back to Gannon Fodder.
Well, the Texans offensively, hey, built on last week's performance where you took some shots down the field and hit them. More of that today, and Defensively, San Francisco, they're without 3 of their 6 corners on the roster, and that wasn't a particularly strong group to begin with. They're going to have to hold up in the back end.
3rd and long, deep in San Francisco territory, 4 wide receivers for the Texans. Carr is going to have to run it and dives forward. Derek Smith was in pursuit, and that's going to be a first down.
This isn't something you see David Carr do a lot of, although he does have the ability to do it, to pull it down and to make some plays with his legs. He takes a good, strong drop. He's looking downfield and just sees an opening and just makes a smart decision in this situation, just trying to get that first down. And great play by David Carr.
So the Texans will have another shot at 1st and goal from the 6-yard line. Quick hitch to Johnson, and he's inside the 5.
They'll do this a lot today, and really David Carr has a free rein. When he sees that he has one-on-one off coverage to Andre Johnson, he'll just pull up and throw it to him and hope that he can make B.J. Tucker miss in space, and that's something that Andre Johnson does pretty well. It's a pretty good open field tackle by B.J. Tucker.
Again, the spread formation. 2nd and goal for Houston. Morency, touchdown. 2nd touchdown of the year for the rookie from Oklahoma State, Vernon Morency.
That's tough if you're the 49ers defense. You know, playing on short fields. And you had the punt the previous series. They got the ball inside the 30, and then of course that block punt, and that's tough for a defense. But all you want to do in those situations is just try and go out and hold them to a field goal, and just weren't able to do it in that situation.
Morency starting today after the Texans placed Jonathan Wells on IR this week. Chris Brown to try the extra point. And it's good. So 4:43 left in the 1st, and the Texans have jumped out to a 10-0 lead.
Wherever you want to go, the Acura RL.
Witness a transformation. Sony SXRD technology delivers 2 million pixels of red, green, and blue. Twice the pixels of HD as we know it. But that's what makes the new Grand Vega SXRD a Sony, the world's greatest high-definition television. Make it yours at sony.com/HDTV.
Like no other, Sony.
CBS has finished #1 every week this season, a feat no network has done in nearly 20 years. For over 140 million viewers, this is the place for the best drama, comedy, news, and reality, including Monday's #1 show, Tuesday's #1 show, Friday's #1 show, the #1 place for the NFL, the #1 news magazine, the #1 reality show, TV's #1 comedy, and the #1 show on all of television. CBS, America's most watched network.
The stars will be out just for you. The People's Choice Award, CBS, Tuesday, January 10th.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Sony. Transform the way you watch football with Sony, the world's greatest high-definition television. And by the Acura RL with super handling all-wheel drive.
5 plays, 17 yards on the short drive. Took 2:23 off the clock. Morency with the 3-yard touchdown run. He's given Houston a 10-0 lead. Chris Brown set to kick it off. Back deep, Otis Amy and Jason McAdley. San Francisco, you have to get anything going on offense. 2 3-and-outs. Total of 1 yard on offense for the 49ers in their first 2 possessions. Scooped up by Amy. He lowers his head, gets out across the 30 to the 31-yard line. Lewis Sanders made the tackle. Breezy New Year's Day here in San Francisco. Back with more after these messages.
What can saving for college teach us about financial decisions?
Honey, can we fly this year?
Nope. College fund.
Hey, guess what? I got a bonus.
This is great.
College fund.
Yeah.
I got the scholarship.
Plan B.
Wherever you are financially, we're right there with you. Talk to a Wachovia advisor today.
There are two kinds of people, two kinds of companies who change the world. Those who invent and those who deliver. SBC and AT&T have joined forces to create the most complete and secure network on Earth, so you can make the most of your world. Introducing the new AT&T. Your world delivered.
The rebirth of Civic, all new from Honda. It'll reverse your thinking.
For this music industry rap, life is playing his song.
Goliath Records is the perfect place for you.
You gotta be bigger than Beck.
But you're Wayne, and we'll make sure you keep your Wayne-ness.
Love Monkey, coming January 17th to CBS.
.437 remaining in the first quarter. Third possession for the 49ers from the 31. Frank Gore is checked in. He gets the carry. Rookie out of the University of Miami, the second-round draft pick.
Well, there's a reason why this offense is bad. And, you're starting a rookie quarterback. They've had some changes and some injuries along that offensive line. They really have gotten no production from the tight end situation since Eric Johnson was placed on injury reserve, and they have some young receivers as well. And so anytime you're starting from scratch, and the cupboards were certainly bare when Mike Nolan and his staff got here, it's going to take a while.
Gore with a pickup of 4 yards, so 2nd and 6. And again, they keep it on the ground. Stretch it out to the sideline. Shante Orr is right in the middle of things.
Well, when they came into this situation, Mike Nolan, the first thing he did was go out and hire Mike McCarthy, the offensive coordinator who came over from the New Orleans Saints. And I've had the pleasure of working with Mike, and what he's done here is he's tried to install the West Coast system of football. It's a system that's proven the test of time. It's won world championships, and it's a process. And training is so important, especially with the young quarterback. And the interesting thing is you're out of practice yesterday, and you watch them practice, and they're constantly talking to the quarterbacks. They're constantly drilling, and they really believe that they're onto something with Alex Smith.
3rd and 3. Smith on the move, goes to the sidelines, incomplete, intended for Brandon Lloyd, and again the 49ers will have to punt.
We talked about Alex Smith. In between practice, they're repping footwork, they're working on different drills, they're reviewing scripts between the next period, and they were the first guys on the field and the last to leave. And that's what you want from your young quarterback, who's going to eventually be the leader of this football team. He's learning how to be a pro, how to be a quarterback in the NFL.
Andy Lee had his last punt blocked, gets this one away. It's going to be short, bounces at the 37-yard line, and finally goes out of bounds. Well, our NFL.com poll question today: who would you pick as this year's NFL MVP?
Well, I don't know how you can argue with that. I mean, my opinion is it takes a couple years to be the NFL MVP. It doesn't happen overnight. He's put together some great back-to-back seasons, and 28. I think he got his 28th touchdown earlier this season. He's going to lead the National Football League in rushing, and he's a complete back. I like Sean Alexander.
3:15 left in the first. Here's what the Texans have done in their first 3 possessions. They start from the 40. Morency, and he has a first down. Mike Adams, the left corner, who's moved over this week from free safety to start at cornerback, made the tackle.
Now, this team has played better the last month of the season, and particularly up front, where that group has been under a lot of scrutiny for getting up the sacks, but they have played better the last month.
Morency, this time he tries to kick it to the outside, is driven out of bounds at the 43-yard line, again by Mike Adams. We've gotten word that Andre Johnson has been taken to the locker room. His return is questionable. Injured left ankle. Donovan Morgan has checked in. 2nd and 4 for Houston. They lead 10-0. And we have a flag. Procedure penalty.
Number 70, offense. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Fred Weary, the right guard.
What happened? David Carr recognized the pressure blitz coming from the 49ers. He tried to change the play at the line of scrimmage. A lot of times those linemen will get antsy, but they see a ton of blitz. There's 2 reasons why. They don't recognize it, first of all, and secondly, they don't handle it. They don't pick up the blitzes, and that's the reason why David Carr spends a lot of his time scrambling around trying to find receivers.
2nd and 9. There's the pump. He goes over the middle, incomplete. Morency couldn't pull it in.
There's so much has been talked about the sacks that this team has given up and the problems they've had in protection. I went back and looked at 3 or 4 games, really tried to break it down. I think there's a number of reasons why. I think there's structural flaws in the system. I don't believe they communicate well enough. I believe there's too much uncertainty, especially on the left side. I don't think the backs are involved enough in the protection scheme. And the quarterback, in my opinion, doesn't have enough tools in his toolbox to address all the issues at the line of scrimmage.
4 wide receivers, 3rd and 9. Carr guns it, incomplete. Bradford couldn't make the grab. That would have been a first down.
Corey Bradford just working across the middle, playing zone covers the 49ers, and David Carr does a pretty nice job sticking this one in. And I think probably what happened was, obviously should have caught the ball, but he gets screened at the last minute, and he's not able to pull that in. Ben Emanuel gets his hand out and it screens him enough so that he can't make the catch.
Amy is the deep man standing back at his own 10-yard line, awaiting the Chad Stanley punt. There's a flag down on the other side of the field. Fair catch is made at the 9-yard line, a 39-yard punt. We'll check the penalty.
Illegal use of the hands to the face, number 30, receiving team, during the kick. Half the distance from the end of the kick, first down.
They call it on Jason Simmons. Well, this January, get ready for a whole new generation of comedy and a whole new generation of romance when Jenna Elfman stars in Courting Alex, coming Monday, January 23rd to CBS, America's #1 network.
Well, you look at the first 3 possessions, 3 and out. This is not the way you want to start games. And you're an offensive coordinator, Mike McCarthy, just trying to find a way to get your young quarterback in a rhythm.
Deep in their own territory, Hicks getting to the edge, cuts it upfield, and a first down.
Well, that's the thing that always helped get me in a rhythm, Bill. As a quarterback, if I was struggling, having some difficulty throwing the football, the thing that got me going was handing the ball off to a running back for a big first down, and that's what they do right here. And that's what Mike wants to do. They want to run the football today. They've had success the last couple weeks, and particularly last week. Both those backs gained over 177 yards in their win against the Rams. And Maurice Hicks and Frank Gore need to get a lot of carries today.
First down for San Francisco. That was good for 13 yards. From the 18, Hicks fights his way forward across the 20. The first man there was the nose tackle, Seth Payne.
Another bright spot for the 49ers has really been this young offensive line. Adam Snyder, a rookie, David Voss, Smiley, and Heitman inside. These guys have done a nice job. I like these guys. They're aggressive, they're physical, they don't let up, and they play through the whistle. Seth Payne told us, hey, you got to be careful. You can't stand around piles at the end of plays. These guys will come down and knock your block off.
27 yards for Hicks coming off his first 100-yard game. Had 109 last week. 10 carries. 2nd and 7. Short drop. Swing it out to the flat. Arnaz Battle. And Battle is wrapped up at the 22-yard line. DeMarcus Fagans, the right corner, was the first man there. And that could be the final play of the opening quarter. That is going to be the quarter that seen the Texans score their most points of the season in the first quarter. We'll return to Monster Park after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS, America's #1 network.
Didn't get what you want this holiday.
So Marcus Fagans had the coverage.
Well, these are going to be the tough throws today for Alex Smith.
Pass interference, number 38 defense. First down, spot of the foul.
So call it on Fagans.
These are going to be the tough ones, these down the field throws where you have to put some air on the ball with this wind. And it's not something that Alex Smith has done a particularly good job of this year. We talked to some of his coaches before the game and said he didn't throw the ball a ton down the field at Utah. And we went back and watched him the last 7 weeks. He's missed some throws. He's overthrown some people. He's underthrown. He's thrown the ball out of bounds. It's just a question of him getting reps and getting comfortable throwing that deep ball.
First down from the 46. Out into the flat. Hetherington. Chris Hetherington had carried the ball only once all season. Coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report, join Greg, Dan, Shannon, and Boomer for all the latest NFL scores, highlights, and playoff news for the final week of the regular season. That's all coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report. 49ers, their first trip into Houston territory. Frank Gore has checked in now for San Francisco. And Gore will get it. Reverses his field. And that was a battle. Frank Gore, Mike Nolan said he really likes this young man. He says he's just passionate about the game of football. He loves to play. He's a tough guy. Says exactly the kind of player I want here in San Francisco.
It was interesting. He said, Mike Nolan told him when he first got here, he said, don't let me down. I've had some great players at the University of Miami. Don't you be the one to let me down. He said that stuck with him. He didn't want to be the guy that disappointed his head coach, and Frank Gore so far has not done that.
Smith to Jackson. Deshaun Polk made the stop. And that'll bring up third down.
The thing with Frank Gore and even Maurice Hicks, one of the biggest things, the toughest things for a young back, not just to be able to run the ball and learn all your assignments, but protection. Protection is so important. And when you have a quarterback like Alex Smith, who was paid a lot of money, you have to find a way to keep him healthy. And so protections are so important. And as a running back, you face so many different looks from defenses. And that's something that he really needs to work on.
3rd and 5. 49ers trailing the Texans 10-0. Smith up in the air, intercepted. Glenn Earl, the strong safety.
Well, just not to start the 49ers want. Batted balls are never a good thing. Tip balls are never a good thing for a quarterback. And you see this ball get tipped, and Alex Smith sick to his stomach. He knows it's nothing but bad news when that happens.
12:42 left in the half after the interception. The Texans take over at their own 27-yard line, leading 10-0 over San Francisco. Morency tried to get to the edge and was turned back. And Rich, let's take a look back at the interception.
Well, you learn as a young quarterback to make good decisions and to throw to shoulders. And he should be throwing this ball out here to his outside shoulder. He winds up throwing it inside. Troy Evans is able to get a hand on it. Again, once that ball goes up in the air, it's Glenn Earl to come and make that play. And you use nothing ever good happens when that ball goes up in the air if you're a quarterback.
The 11th interception this season for Alex Smith, closing in on a dubious record. To the sidelines, incomplete. Morgan was the intended receiver. So it'll be 3rd and long for the Texans.
And we call that a force. David Carr trying to stick that one in. But Donovan Morgan up the sidelines into the too deep coverage, and just a bad decision. That's something you want to eliminate from your game, just trying to force throws, especially in these conditions. Just check it down and move on to the next down.
4 wide receiver set. 3 to the lower part of your screen. Carr from the shotgun on 3rd and 11. Carr hit as he threw. And that could have been picked off. It hung in the air. Jerome Mathis was the intended receiver. And Carr slow getting up after taking a shot from Brandon Moore, the inside linebacker.
Well, Brandon Moore has really come on this year, and he has 5 sacks, and you'll see him come clean. And David Carr steps into this throw, and those hurt up under the shoulder when you're throwing. And David Carr never really feels that one, but he's going to feel it now on the sidelines. You look at that hit. That's something the 49ers look for them to do more of today, especially in 3rd down. Bring 5- and 6-man rushes to get after David Carr, who's been victimized a lot by pressures this season.
Otis Amy is the deep man. He fields it, stays on his feet, and fights hard to the 38-yard line. David Carr holding that right arm. 10-0 Texans.
Sponsored by the new Sprint. Sprint, yes you can. Prudential Financial. Choose Prudential Financial to help you grow and protect your wealth. And by the Ford F-150. Built Ford tough.
Welcome back. David Carr being attended to on the sideline. He has taken every snap this season for the Houston Texans as we look at our quarterback comparison. And both men battling this severe wind today here in the Bay Area. 2 tight end set for San Francisco. Hicks, and we have a flag in the backfield. Shante Orr, the outside linebacker, made the stop.
Holding, number 47 offense. 10-yard penalty, repeat 1st down.
We call it on Billy Bajama, the tight end. So they'll move it back to the 28-yard line.
Well, penalties have really been the difference so far in this game. And look at the end of the line of scrimmage. He's just getting pushed back and just grabs a hold of him, and the officials will never miss that one in the line of scrimmage. When they see you extend your hands and grab, that flag is coming out.
So 1st and 20. Smith will throw. Batted away, incomplete. That was Alfred Malone. It was really a great story. He's the rookie out of Troy State, a free agent signed from the practice squad last week. He wasn't even supposed to be active these last 2 weeks, but played last week because of the injury to Gary Walker. He had a sack and was 2nd on the team in tackles with 7. And there's a man down on the field, and that is Shante Orr, the left outside linebacker. So timeout on the field. We'll be back to San Francisco.
Are you married?
No.
Never been married?
Never.
You have a boyfriend?
Why, are you interested?
Oh, yeah, I'd have to clear it at home. Monday.
Had a breakout season for the Texans. One of the positives this season for Houston, clearly in pain on the sidelines. We'll try to get his status as soon as it's available. 2nd and 20 for San Francisco. Smith with time dumps it over the middle to Frank Gore, and Gore is brought down immediately. Jason Babbitt, who has checked in to replace Shante Orr at the left inside linebacker spot, made the tackle.
All right, people have been critical of Alex Smith, and his performance so far this season, but I think it's almost impossible to fairly assess his performance. You know, sometimes it's the luck of the draw, and you look at the situation that Ben Roethlisberger came in a year ago into the Pittsburgh with all the players he had. Deuce Staley and Jerome Bettis, Hines Ward, Plexico Burress, Alan Faneca up front. Completely different situation. He's been surrounded by a lot of young, inexperienced players like himself, and that's tough.
They have to get to the 48-yard line for a first down. Hicks. And we'll see the punter.
Seemed like they're calling some plays where he's looking downfield and not finding anybody open. He's checked it down quite a bit. Again, when you get to 2nd and 20s and 3rd and 15s, 3rd and 18s, it's tough. But they're just trying to play the field position game here, and hopefully their defense can go out and get a stop and get them some field position where they can go back out and put a drive together.
Andy Lee, the punter. Good high kick. Donovan Morgan feels it at the 15. Morgan. A nice return. Out of bounds at the 39-yard line. 10-0 Texans. 10:03 left in the half.
There. He's not a real judge. He's an actor. This girl has cue cards. Ladies and gentlemen, this trial isn't even real. No, this isn't a real courtroom.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Miller. There's good enough, and there's better than it has to be. Miller, good call. And by AOL. Want a better internet? You belong at AOL.
A day that's not unlike the seasons with the Texans and the 49ers. Overcast, a little bleak, and not a lot of sunshine. From the 39-yard line, Morency. Well, the records might not be good, but these guys, Rich, are flying around down there and delivering some blows.
Yeah, they're playing with some energy and some enthusiasm for sure.
Well, kick off the new year with America's #1 network, and see why over 140 million viewers turn to CBS for television's #1 comedy, #1 reality show, #1 news magazine, and the #1 show on TV. Plus, more people watch the NFL on CBS than on any other network. We thank you, and Happy New Year from all of us at CBS. 2nd and 8. Tough going for Morency inside.
Well, you look at David Carr on the other side of the ball, and he's being evaluated as well. And, you know, you talk about your most important position on your team, the position where you have your greatest investment, not only financially, but in terms of time and effort. And I got a question. Who's training this guy? You know, Chris Palmer's gone. Joe Pendry, the offensive line coach, doesn't have a great deal of experience with quarterbacks. They promoted their tight end coach from a year ago. And I don't ever want to be critical of coaches, but I think that's the most important job, to put your players in a position where they have a chance to be successful. I don't know that Texans have done that with David Carr.
That's the tight end, Marcellus Rivers. B.J. Tucker, the nickelback, made the tackle, and the Texans will have to punt.
You know, David Carr, we talked with him yesterday. He said, all I want is some consistency. I want a system that makes sense. I want game plans that'll stand up, that won't fluctuate and change each week, and something I can hang my hat on. And when you change coordinators at the 2nd or 3rd week of the season and you elevate your offensive line coach, you can't expect much of that.
Stanley, who played 2 years for the 49ers back in '99 and 2000, gets this one away. Otis Amy from the 10 has some room. And a nice open field tackle made by Charlie Anderson after a 44-yard punt, a 13-yard return. Well, just under 8 minutes remaining in the half. 49ers go to work from their own 24-yard line. Smith, the screen to Hicks. Struggles forward close to the 30.
Well, it's important for the 49ers to get something going here before half, and they've struggled. This is an ugly way to start a game, and again, they've not done a very good job on the early downs. They've gotten behind, and they've had some long numbers on 3rd down, and so you see them coming out here starting with the screen, trying to get something going positive.
2nd and 5. Hicks. Big hit delivered by the rookie, Travis Johnson, playing that left defensive end spot.
I thought that was going to be important for San Francisco to run the ball well, run it early. And you look at the Texans defensively, 30th in the National Football League against the rush. They're giving up 141 yards a game rushing. And so obviously the 49ers very well aware of that and want to come out and run the ball effectively. But the Texans doing a pretty good job, especially in the early downs.
3rd and 3. The bottom of the NFL. All defensive categories. Smith finally gets rid of it, incomplete. We have a flag at the 40-yard line. Brandon Lloyd was the intended receiver. Preliminary signal is it's against the Texans.
It's all right. Illegal use of the hands to the face, number 26 defense prior to the pass. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's Glenn Earl, the strong safety.
One of the most important things in this system of football is footwork. And Alex Smith in this situation, we watch him, we roll, and you watch him at the end here. At the top of his drop, he's just sitting still. He's not hitching up into the pocket, stepping up into his throws, and he's off balance, he's out of rhythm, and that's why he missed that throw.
First down, short drop. That'll be good for a couple to Brandon Lloyd, who's the 49ers leading receiver coming in, averaging over 15.5 yards a catch. But he was well covered by Dante Robinson, the 10th player chosen overall in the 04 NFL draft.
Yeah, footwork's so important in this system. They use the phrase trust your feet, and that'll take you to the read. And it's a system that's based on timing and rhythm. And one of the all-time best, Joe Montana, really was the master of footwork. Alex Smith and Mike McCarthy, the coordinator, have gone back and looked at cut-ups of Joe and his footwork because they know it's so important to the success of this system.
Frank Gore has the San Francisco first down. Gore with 2 rushing touchdowns last week against the Rams. First 49er to do that in more than 3 years. Near midfield. Gore has actually been playing injured. He'll have to have surgery on both shoulders once the season is over. And Gore is the motion man. May have been offsides. We have a flag caught by Terry Jones, the tight end. Let's check the penalty.
Antoine Peak got a jump there, trying to beat Adam Snyder around the edge.
Offside, number 98 defense. Penalties declined. First down.
Just watch just a step early, and Adam Snyder trying to recover. Alex Smith does a nice job getting that one out.
The word we get on Shante Orr is he suffered a back strain and his return is questionable.
That's unfortunate because both of these outside linebackers, Shante Orr and Antoine Peak, have been playing better, especially the last month, generating some great pressures and some great rushes on the quarterback.
49ers on the move from the 41-yard line. Gore slips as he tries to cut back, but gets it down inside the 40-yard line to the 39. Well, we're all set for the postseason in the AFC, and a look at the brackets. Jacksonville will play at New England, and Pittsburgh wrapped up the 6th seed today, and they'll be at Cincinnati. But the Bengals have had a little trouble here in the closing weeks of the regular season.
I'm concerned about Indianapolis. I don't like this downtime. They have not played a lot of their starters, and I always thought it was important to go into a playoff game with some confidence and with some rhythm, and I don't know if the Colts have that right now.
Gore on 2nd and 8. Drives forward to the 35-yard line and bursts out, but they had blown the whistle and ruled him down.
This is an interesting guy, Frank Gore. I think he's going to be a good player in this league, and told us he struggled early on with all the volume and the verbiage in this new system, and he's really come on the last month or so, and but he's a tough guy, and he's a guy that loves the game. That's the thing that Mike Nolan told us about. This guy loves football. He loves coming to work. He loves coming to practice, and he loves playing.
Timeout, San Francisco.
So we have a timeout on the field with 3:17 remaining in the half. Well, Monday on an all-new Late Show, Dave rings in the new year with Heather Graham. Later this week, Marv Albert wraps up the year's best sports bloopers. Dave's all new, all this week, here on CBS, America's #1 network. Alex Smith told us he felt last week was the best game he's played here in his rookie season. The numbers weren't spectacular, 12 of 16 for 131 yards, but he said he thought he managed the game well and had no turnovers.
Yeah, and obviously he has all the physical skills, or he wouldn't be here in the National Football League. But the thing that's impressed Coach Nolan, so he said this guy has come in and he's done a great job commanding the huddle, taking control of this football team. He's done a nice job with just being confident under the center, making the right calls and getting his team in and out of the bad situations, and just doing a good job managing the game.
8th play of the drive upcoming. 3rd and 4 for San Francisco. Hicks. Tough running. Brought down by Glenn Earl, the strong safety.
And I got to think that was 4-down territory. They had a 3rd and 4. They're probably thinking that they get 2 or 3 yards here, they're going to go for it in 4th down, and so they decide to run it. But that's a huge hole on that right side of that offensive line.
And that's one area that Mike Nolan is pleased about, that young offensive line. He likes the way they've improved as the season has gone on. He thinks as a unit they've got a chance to develop into a pretty good group. 1st and 10 for the 49ers. Hicks. Picked up maybe 3. Maurice Hicks, and in college he set the NCAA Division I and II single game rushing record at North Carolina A&T. He had 437 yards and 4 touchdowns in 2001 against Morgan State. So Hicks may be one of those diamonds in the rough for the 49ers as we get down to the 2-minute warning. Here in the end of the first half, it's 10-0 Texans. On this breezy New Year's Day here in San Francisco, and the race for the #1 pick in the draft this spring has come down now to 3 teams: Houston, New Orleans, which lost to close out the season today, and San Francisco.
They all need help, some more than others, but boy, Reggie Bush, sure they all like to have him in their backfield.
Heisman Trophy winner, 2nd and 8. They pitch it back to Gore, and Gore will lose yardage. Jason Babin was in there in a hurry. And don't forget, coming up with the Sprint Halftime Report, join Greg, Dan, Shannon, and Boomer for all the latest NFL scores, highlights, and playoff news in the final week of the regular season. That's all coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report.
It was interesting, we talked to Frank Gore yesterday about the Reggie Bush thing. He said, hey, the only thing I can control is what I do out in the football field. I'm just trying to take advantage of the opportunities. And hey, I play with the best down at Miami. Bring them in. I'll compete with them. Pretty confident young guy.
49ers lead in time of possession. Texans lead on the scoreboard. Smith caught. Brandon Lloyd.
That's a great throw by Alex Smith. And again, we talk about his footwork and setting his feet, and you watch him at the top of this drop. When he sets his feet and makes up his mind, and he's determined and he's decisive, he can make all the throws. And that's the thing the 49er coaching staff keeps telling us. If we can just get him to settle down a little bit, slow it down, not rush things, Alex Smith can be a great player.
And that was the longest play of the game so far, 14 yards. 11 plays in the drive so far. 49ers trying to get on the board before halftime. Dumps it out to Hicks. And Hicks swarmed under at the 15-yard line. Moreland Greenwood, the middle linebacker, was the first man there. Texans leading tackler in his 5th year out of Syracuse.
Well, the 49ers feel like they have plenty of time. I'm a little surprised they didn't use a timeout in that situation.
Frank Gore is checked back in. Remember, Alex Smith has not thrown a touchdown pass here in his rookie season. Looking for his first NFL touchdown throw. Gore bounces off tacklers. Forward progress may have gotten him down to the 14. And we've got a timeout.
It's amazing that Alex has played as many games as he's had this year and hasn't been able to throw a touchdown. And I played with Bobby Hoying, but that's amazing. You know, that many games and that many throws, and not to be able to have a chance to throw one in the end zone. And I'm sure the 49ers would like to have him have that opportunity today to just to see what it feels like. I mean, I don't know how you play this long and not have that happen. He told us when he was at Utah, in fact, if he threw one touchdown in a game, he was annoyed. You know, he threw 3 and 4 in a lot of games at Utah, and here he is in his rookie year and hasn't had the opportunity to throw it in the end zone. And I'm sure he's frustrated about that.
3rd and 6. 25 seconds remaining in the half. 49ers with a timeout remaining. Terry Jackson is checked in. Smith on the move to the corner of the end zone. There it is! Touchdown! Brandon Lloyd!
He's looking for that ball, Bill. There it is. I don't want to say we called it, but we talked about it. Sure enough, Alex Smith delivers. He's going to keep that one and put it up on a mantle.
And that is a huge weight off his shoulders. It took 150 attempts. Nedney on to try the extra point. Right through the uprights. $18 seconds left in the half. 10-7 Houston.
It's always important to get momentum right before the half. And big throw by Alex Smith. And ironically enough, it comes off the scramble. This is a staple throw in the West Coast system. It's double post and have both inside receiver going to the post and really looking for the top receiver. And Alex just gets outside the pocket, scrambles, and makes a great throw on the move in the back of the end zone to Brandon Lloyd. And he can make all the throws. A big guy, but moves well in the pocket, has a strong arm, and the reason why the 49ers chose him #1 overall.
The 5th touchdown catch of the season for Brandon Lloyd. "14 plays on the drive." It took over 7.5 minutes, and that was impressive. So Nedney on to kick it off to Jerome Mathis, who will be headed to the Pro Bowl. Mathis, the only Texan on the squad. He'll be the AFC return man. Hangs up, it's taken at the 21-yard line. Mathis reverses his field. And a nice tackle at the 36-yard line.
I think we're going to see Tony Banks. Bill, I think telling us that David Carr has a bruised right elbow, and a chance to look at the veteran Tony Banks coming in. And David Carr talking about a questionable return, and unfortunately came back. He told us bought 100 tickets for this one and went to school down at Fresno, and a lot of family and friends at this one. That's unfortunate that he might not be able to return.
Jason McAdley, by the way, was the man who made the tackle, and Banks will come out. First down he's played all year. He takes the knee. So that's the end of the first half with our score: Houston 10, San Francisco 7. We'll be back with the Sprint halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, America's #1 network. NFL draft, and so far it's been a hard-hitting affair here on New Year's Day. Halftime, our score: Houston 10, San Francisco 7. The NFL on CBS will continue after this word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, America's #1 network.
Jenna Elfman's back in Courting Alex, coming to CBS Monday, January 20.
Our halftime numbers.
Yeah, the difference there, obviously the 49ers, the time of possession, the extra 10 minutes, but the penalties really hurt them on early downs. And the biggest difference, in my opinion, is the average drive start. The Texans with the ball at the 49-yard line, they had short fields and they're able to score on 2 of them, and that's really been the difference in this game so far.
Bill McAtee back with Rich Gann, and really this is the kind of game that we expected to see between these teams that have struggled this year. But how important was the touchdown pass for Alex Smith and his psyche?
I think it's really important. You build confidence with a young player, and that's something that you want to do as you go into halftime. They did it a week ago up against the Rams, an away game. They had it's his first win, and it was a great win for him on the road against a divisional opponent. And I think anytime you get your young quarterback in that situation where he can have success, that it's only going to help you down the road.
49ers will get the ball to start the second half. And we don't know if we're going to see David Carr or not. He was not warming up when the Texans came back out, so it could be Tony Banks. Underway in the second half. Amy and McAdley are back deep. Floats into the end zone about 5 yards deep, and Amy takes a knee. They'll bring it out to the 20-yard line.
Well, if you're a fantasy football player or participant, I don't know that you'd want a lot of these guys on either of these teams, and they don't put up any great numbers, either of these offenses. And look at the passing from both teams, and not a lot to look at there. The interception obviously hurt the 49ers, and the rushing game, Morency getting some carries, and the 49ers are going to split duty with both of those backs. And again, the receivers, not a lot to talk about, but that's what you'd expect from offenses that are 32nd and 31st in the National Football League.
1st and 10 from the 20. 10-7 Houston. Smith will throw on first down. Pressured. Now has to run for it. Headed to the sidelines and out of bounds at the 23-yard line.
One of the things I've seen a couple times with Alex Smith, when he does go to run, especially to his left, he's not so concerned about looking downfield trying to find a receiver. They have what they call a scramble drill. When the quarterback starts scrambling out of the pocket, you look for receivers to start taking friendly angles back to the quarterback where he'll have an outlet throw, and you didn't see that happen there with the 49er receivers.
They spot the ball between the 23 and 24-yard line. Second down, Hicks. Maurice Hicks. Wilbert Smith was there to greet him. Hicks, not a big man, but not afraid to run inside the tackles. Here's a look at what the 49ers did in their first 6 possessions. It took them a while to get going, but that was an impressive drive at the end of the first half.
Yeah, ugly beginning, but they found a way to cap it off at the end with a great 14-play, 76-yard drive to build some momentum as they head into halftime.
Terry Jackson has checked in at running back on 3rd and 2 for San Francisco. Smith on the move, guns it, and that is caught. Brandon Lloyd out of bounds at the 40-yard line.
Well, you talk about tradition. This is the play, the throw to Dwight Smith in the back of the end zone that won the game. He'll sprint out. The inside guy will run the little option route. The backside receiver, the outside receiver will run it over and back. And Alex Smith finds the secondary receiver on the sidelines. But that was a throw that won the 49ers the NFC Championship game here against the Cowboys in this opposite end zone.
Beat Everson Walls on that play. Started the 49er dynasty. They'd like to get back there. First down, Gore. Lowers his shoulder and rumbles forward to the 45-yard line. Second and 5 upcoming.
49ers there. Alex Smith made an opposite call on that last play, and what they'll do is he'll assess the front, and he has the ability to change the run from the strong side to the right or to the weak side to the left. He took a look at the defense and felt like the best chance was to run to the left, and he made an opposite call, changing that run at the line of scrimmage.
3-step drop, a slant to Battle, and he has another San Francisco first down. Arnaz Battle, who signed a new long-term contract with the 49ers, which was announced this week.
It's a little slant throw, and something that Alex Smith does well. And what helps him is his height. He's able to see over the defensive lineman up front. It's a quick 3-step throw, and he does a good job getting it up and down to Arnaz Battle.
Battle is the 49ers' most dynamic player on offense, and he's missed 6 games this season. Gore brought down hard after a pickup of 1. Well, as you look forward for the San Francisco 49ers, Rich, what do you see?
Well, you look about an organization that lost its focus, and after George Seifert, Mariucci came in and kept it going for a while. But here's where things really started going south, when Dennis Erickson took over, and I really believe they lost their sense of direction, where this organization was going. They slipped in terms of their structure, their discipline, their attention to detail. That, combined with some horrible personnel decisions, really left this organization in bad straits.
Mike Nolan said he'd like to bring in 2 or 3 quality free agents to create more of a veteran presence. The screen to Gore. Gore stopped about a yard short of the first down. Antoine Peak was in there in a hurry and hit Alex Smith.
Peak's gotten some pressure on the quarterback today, and you watch him right at the end just drag Alex Smith down. But the outside linebackers of the Texans have done a good job, especially the last month, at generating some pressure on quarterbacks. And Shante Orr, their leading sacker, it's unfortunate he got hurt earlier, but he was a guy that was really coming on for them.
Only 5 yards in offense for Houston since the opening quarter. Hicks is the deep back on 3rd and 1. Maurice Hicks, first down, 49ers.
Well, this is their favorite short yardage and goal line run, and it's called 14 blast, and it heads right downhill. You actually have your fullback is Anthony Adams in the backfield. He's going to lead the way for Maurice Hicks, and that's the play that they like. That's their stable run, short yardage and goal line, that downhill blast play that they've had a lot of success with this season.
Here's Anthony Adams, 1st and 10 from the 30. Hicks. And Hicks is down to the 24-yard line. Dante Robinson, the cornerback, made the stop.
Well, Anthony Adams ought to ask for a better contract. He's doing double duty here, and they're having so much success with him at the fullback position. And he's like a little bowling ball. He's not afraid to go up in there and smack you right in the mouth. The 300-pounder goes to show you his versatility in this system. They'll do whatever they have to do to try and win games. If it means lining up Anthony Adams as your fullback.
Opening drive of the second half. Gore, nice move, cuts back inside and a first down.
Well, this offensive line is starting to take over the game now. We talked about it earlier, Bill. This group has really come on, and they're really starting to play with some real physical presence up there. They're getting some great movement, and 49ers are able to do what they like to do, and that's run the football downhill with Gore and Hicks.
Well, despite their anemic offense, the 49ers are coming off one of their best rushing days in more than 30 years against the Rams last week. They averaged 7.5 yards a carry on 29 rushing plays. And they have dominated the time of possession, although they trail on the scoreboard. Frank Gore's the deep back. Fumble. Smith falls on it, tries to get up. It was brought down immediately at the 24-yard line.
Well, you know, people talked about Alex Smith and the problems he's had holding on to the football. People say, well, it's the size of his hand. I don't see how that has to do anything with the size of your hands, but I was curious. So I sat down in the production meeting the other day, and I put my hand up next to his, and his dwarfs mine. He's got a good size frame. His hands are plenty big enough to play the position, but his problem has been sometimes he gets excited and he can't slow his body down. And that ball looked like it just slipped right out. You got to know where you're playing. And you know, in this situation with the field the way it is, you might get a slick ball every now and then.
Got the snap away in time. 2nd and 18. The screen incomplete.
Screens have been good for them on this drive, and Texans do a pretty good job sniffing that one out. That line up front is not fooled by that one.
Well, the 49ers have struggled in a lot of areas, but perhaps it's most evident in the passing game, both on offense and defense. The difference in yards gained throwing the football and passing yards allowed is 165. That's the worst differential in the NFL since the merger. 13th play of the drive upcoming. 3rd and 18. Smith to the sidelines, incomplete. He overthrew everyone. Arnaz Battle was in the area.
Well, you look at that play, and I'm watching Mike McCarthy on the sidelines criticize his quarterback, and the reason he's going to criticize him, he pulls up too soon. He's supposed to come all the way out, keep coming. He pulls up way too soon. Not that he would have had him, but still, the play was designed to get him out on the edge where he'd have an option if the route wasn't there to be able to pull it down and run.
So we'll see Joe Nedney, and he had a 56-yard field goal last week against the Rams. This from 42. Plenty of leg, and good. So Nedney connects, and we're all tied at 10, 7:33 left in the 3rd. It's tough all over Monster Park. Watch the man retrieving the football after the extra point.
What you want to do is you want to focus, make sure your feet are in bounds. I mean, that's great concentration. I got to find out who that guy is. I'm tired of people talking about Reggie Bush. The Niners and the Texans ought to look for that gentleman right there.
I think he hung on to the football. Nedney's kick fielded by Mathis at the 7. The speedster. Mathis out to the 37-yard line. B.J. Tucker made the stop. We're tied at 10.
Big, bad, real trucks. Hello, Max. Introducing the 345 horsepower Silverado Vortec Max. Max as in more. More towing capacity than any half-ton truck.
Now more than ever, the world is love.
Get a Silverado extended cab 4-wheel drive with the available Vortec Max Performance Package for a red tag price starting under $28,500 after cash back. See your local Chevy dealer.
Every year during the holidays, it's great to be here in the Rocky Mountains. And not just because it's so dark.
Ted, you're gonna have to find another gender for yourself because I'm revoking your dude membership.
New How I Met Your Mother after a new King of Queens, CBS Monday, January 9th.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 40. UPS, what can Brown do for you? And by the new AT&T, your world delivered.
A cloudy and windy day here in San Francisco. 7:25 left in the 3rd. We're tied at 10. Texans and the 49ers, and in the last 15 minutes, 28 plays for San Francisco, only 1 for Houston. Tony Banks is in for David Carr. Banks, and that's caught. Tony Banks all the way down to the 32-yard line. Corey Bradford.
Well, he's a veteran guy, and one thing he can do, Tony Banks, is sling it. He's got a big-time arm, and I like the fact that the first play he's in there, they're going to give a chance to throw it down the field.
1st and 10. And here come the Texans. Banks is checking off. Played 5 games last year. This is his first action of this season. 4-C, reverses his field. Carries a tackler down to the 25-yard line. Ben Emanuel. He threw only 2 passes in the 04 season, completed 1 for 16 yards. Tony Banks in his career, 76 touchdowns, 71 interceptions. He's thrown for over 15,000 yards.
Well, this is an offense that has a conservative approach by nature. You got a defensive head coach and an old offensive line coach who's now calling plays, and so it'll be interesting to see what they do with Tony Banks.
And Tony Hollins is the running back now on 2nd and 4. Banks, the receiver fell down. Jabbar Gaffney slipped as he made his cut.
The field's starting to get a little soft, and one of the major concerns that they have is becoming one-dimensional. You just watch Gaffney at the top, just going to put his left foot in the ground, and right foot comes right out from underneath him. But they don't want to become one-dimensional. Capers told us we've done that in the past, and history proves that if we become one-dimensional, just throwing the ball, we have no chance. So they have to continue to mix it up, run and pass.
4 wide receivers set. 3rd and 4 for the Texans. Banks with time, over the middle, caught, touchdown. Corey Bradford.
Well, they got the matchup they wanted. Corey Bradford, that's the one they wanted on Peterson, and you watch Banks just make this throw, and this is the thing that I've noticed with Julian Peterson. He's uncomfortable in space. In my opinion, he's a liability in coverage, and he really hasn't been the same dominant player since that Achilles injury. And you get him matched up on a receiver, the receiver's going to win every time, and that's really a structural flaw from a system in terms of what they're trying to do defensively in San Francisco.
The extra point is good, so the Texans have regained the lead as the 10-year veteran out of Michigan State, Tony Banks, moves Houston right down the field.
Earlier, 3 of the cornerbacks for the 49ers are out of the lineup today, and what happens in their dime package, you get Julian Peterson matched up on Corey Bradford down the seam, and this is a mismatch. And what happens is Banks gets this up and down, and we talked having Peterson try and cover a receiver in space. He's a liability in coverage. It's not something he does, and he's uncomfortable doing that, and to ask him to do it is really unreasonable.
Amy from the 7. And wrapped up at the 27-yard line. 17-10 Houston.
Burrito. You are?
Full.
Oh my.
To get full-on value, think outside the bun. Ours in Love Monkey, coming to CBS January 17th.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Taco Bell Big Bell Value Menu. To get full-on value, think outside the bun. And by Chevrolet, an American Revolution.
Tony Banks able to take advantage of that depleted 49ers secondary, and now Alex Smith will try to answer for San Francisco. 5:43 left to play in the third. 17-10 Houston. On first down, 3-step drop. Now he has to scramble up the sidelines and incomplete. Billy Bajama, the tight end, was the intended receiver, and the playoff picture is all set in the AFC. Pittsburgh earlier today wrapped up the 6th seed, so they are in as a wild card along with Jacksonville, and our AFC wild card game next Sunday here on CBS at 4:30 Eastern Time. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati.
Well, I tell you what, I like Cincinnati at home, but the thing that concerns me about them is their defense and whether or not they can hold up against that Pittsburgh running game.
2nd and 10 for the 49ers. Smith gets outside. He'll run it. Out out across the 30 to the 33-yard line. And Jason Babin, who already has 2 sacks today, was hot in pursuit.
He's an interesting guy, Jason Babin. You know, I really felt like he was out of position. They drafted him as a linebacker, and I don't know that he's quick enough or he's strong enough in the running game to hold up at just 259 pounds. But where he's really made a name for himself and where he's really kind of settled in is being a rusher, a pass rusher. And it's something he did well at Western Michigan, and he's really come on the last month of the season for the Texans.
Terry Jackson has checked in. And running back on 3rd and 5. Out into the flat. There's a flag on the play. Battle was hit as he tried to bring the football in. And let's check the penalty.
They might get McAdley for blocking before the throw.
Bill Levy, our referee today.
Pass interference, number 15, offense. Penalties decline, 4th down.
And you can't do that. They're actually trying to run a little pick play, and he actually comes in and starts blocking before the ball is actually thrown, and the official there to see that. Can't do that.
So they'll decline the penalty. We'll bring out the punter. Andy Lee came in averaging just over 42 yards a punt. Mathis is the deep man. Gets it away. Short punt fielded at the 32. And brought down hard at the 36-yard line. A 36-yard punt and a 4-yard return.
Oh, the happy, happy, sunny, burning, glowing gale, where the sweetest joy and gladness ever there prevails, where the sunshine lingers on the ground, just the hell on that happy, sunny side of life.
You forgot this in the middle. What did I forget? The second verse. Oh, did I? Yeah. That's all right. Nobody knows the difference.
I see packages coming in from Shanghai today.
Yeah, Oracle, I know, 200 and 80 from Portland tomorrow morning.
What?
It's UPS. See, now I get a detailed report of all their shipments coming in.
Huh.
I've already notified production and alerted sales.
Well, I can't compete with that.
Yeah, that's why you're being reassigned to accounting. Oh, my stapler.
This is it. The Chevy Red Tag event ends January 3rd. Get to your Chevy dealer now for low red tag prices on most Chevy vehicles. Like the 2006 Chevy Silverado half-ton, with better fuel economy than a comparable Ford F-Series half-ton. Get a Silverado half-ton Crew Cab LS two-wheel drive for the red tag price of $22,667 after cash back. Hurry, the Chevy Red Tag event ends January 3rd. See your local Chevy dealer.
Announcing a brand new, content-rich broadcasting, webcasting, publishing, production, syndication, interactive, out of home, away from home, in-home, world-class entertainment corporation, the CBS Corporation.
Time of possession has been overwhelmingly one-sided. San Francisco over 26 minutes, 12-20 for Houston. Tony Banks is in for David Carr. He had the hot hand in the first drive. Checking off. 4:49 left to play in the third. Short drop for Banks. He slings it out and underthrew Jabbar Gaffney. Well, tonight on 60 Minutes, would you pay to travel in space? Get your checkbook ready. Your chance is coming. Plus the science of living longer. That's tonight on 60 Minutes, America's #1 news magazine on America's #1 network. 2nd and 10 for the Texans. Numbers for Banks, 2 of 4, touchdown, 56 yards from the 36-yard line. The veteran checks off again. Lawrence Lowers his shoulder, powers his way across the 40-yard line.
Well, it doesn't look like things will change a whole lot with Tony Banks as far as their audible mechanics and procedures. And again, when they start audible and checking the line of scrimmage, one of two things usually happens. They run that off-tackle play, or they throw a quick three-step throw, and that's really all they've shown so far this season.
2 of 7 third down conversions, 4 wide receivers, 3 up top for the Texans. They have to get to the 46-yard line for a first down. Incomplete. Texans will have to punt. Donovan Morgan, the intended receiver.
The 49ers have shortened that secondary and actually have Mike Adams. You watch him right here in the slot, and he's actually a safety. They have him playing nickel because they're so banged up, and they've had to move a lot of guys around. We talked earlier about Julian Peterson, and Texans trying to get 3 and 4 wide receiver personnel groups on the field to force the 49ers to use 5 and 6 defensive backs to try and stop them.
Chad Stanley in these gusting conditions. Otis Amy, the deep man for the 49ers. Line drive. Bounces around. Amy will let it roll. And down at the 16. Wednesday on CBS. Start your new year right with the new primetime show seen by more viewers than any other. See why Criminal Minds has kept over 61 million on the edge of their seats. Don't miss the new hit drama Criminal Minds Wednesday on CBS, America's #1 network. That was a 43-yard punt. And the 49ers will start from their own 16. 17-10, Houston. Here in the end of the third. Hicks cuts it back. Out across the 20 to the 21-yard line. Seth Payne, the nose tackle, made the stop in pursuit. Well, Phil Simms says that the most important word going into the postseason is health, not momentum. Read the whole story only on NFL.com or NFL on AOL.
Well, the big difference in the second half has been the 49ers' ability to run the ball, and the Texans need to figure out a way to slow that down, or it's going to be a long second half for the Texans.
Frank Gore has checked in on 2nd and 5. Gore, big hole, Frank Gore.
And what you're starting to see now, Texans starting to bring down some heavier boxes. The safeties are starting to creep down towards the line of scrimmage to help out because that front 7 can't hold up. And Frank Gore just finds a crease on the backside and breaks into the secondary. And this is a big play. Again, the offensive line for the 49ers starting to make some big holes for those backs, and Gore doing a nice job finding that crease.
Dante Robinson saved the touchdown after a pickup of 28. First down, there's a flag on the play. Maurice Hicks back in the game into Texan territory. Let's check the penalty.
Illegal formation, number 68 offense was the end player on the end of the line. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
It's the left tackle, Adam Snyder, the rookie out of the University of Oregon, a 3rd-round draft pick.
And we talked to Don Capers the other day. He said, you're looking back, one of the areas we didn't do a very good job of is between years 3 and 4 in terms of adding to our experience and our personnel. And, you know, look at their defensive line, and Gary Walker goes down a week ago, and they had to have Alfred Malone, a rookie, come in and play 25 or 30 snaps. That's really been the difference for this football team all season.
Texans coming on the blitz on 1st and 15, incomplete, and Alex Smith was hit as he released the ball. Seth Payne with the bull rush up the middle.
Alex Smith, you watch from the top, he's forced to step up, and then Seth Payne is able to get up in there. He's an interesting guy. I enjoyed visiting with him yesterday. I asked him, do you go into a game with a young quarterback and you try and get in his ear a little bit and talk to him? And he said, no, I have a different approach. I kind of go after the offensive lineman. And I try and tell him the quarterback's holding the ball too much and he's taking sacks, and try and use a little reverse psychology. Just what you'd expect from an Ivy League guy.
Smith will throw again and sacked. Antoine Peak, the right outside linebacker.
Well, he's been knocking on the door all day, and he's been getting the best of left tackle Adam Snyder. Gets him a nice wide stance and just gives him that little spin move back underneath, and it's not something Adam Snyder can handle. The rookie tackle is going to have to find a way to slow down Antoine Peak, who's really a much better athlete, much quicker at the point.
Well, Alex Smith has 5 straight incompletions after he connected on 11 in a row. 3rd and a bunch. Smith scrambles. Lets it go, incomplete. He threw it away. Again, the pressure came from Jason Babbitt, who's taken over at the left outside linebacker spot for Shante Orr.
Yeah, again, 3rd and 22, and you know, if you're Mike McCarthy, the offensive coordinator, you don't have any plays on your script for 3rd and 22, and just trying to find a way to get a completion and help your punter out a little bit. But again, they hurt themselves on the earlier downs, and the sack, they just weren't able to overcome that.
Andy Lee, and back deep is Donovan Morgan. He's standing back on his own 22-yard line. Gets it away. Morgan lets it bounce. And finally down near the 28-yard line. Well, coming up, time permitting, after the game, the Subway post-game show. Join Greg, Dan, Shannon, Boomer for all the latest NFL scores, highlights, and playoff news. That's all coming up on the Subway post-game show. A 35-yard punt. The Texans will take over at their own 28-yard line.
That's been the difference so far today. The Texans haven't been able to take advantage of that. They still need to be able to run the ball, though. That's not something they've been able to do in the second half.
Tony Banks checking off again. This time they keep it on the ground. Morency. And Morency with a nice gain on 1st down. Scored his first NFL touchdown a couple weeks ago on a nifty 25-yard run in the win over Arizona. And starting today after the Texans place Jonathan Wells on IR this week. Nearing the end of the 3rd period. 2nd and 4. Banks to the sidelines. Incomplete. Corey Bradford tried to go up and get it, but couldn't bring it in.
Well, they've been running this stretch play, and off the stretch play comes the play action, and Tony Banks has him, just misses this throw high, and Corey Bradford not able to pull that one in. And again, it's a fine line in National Football League. When you have him open, you got to find a way to hit him, and that's really one of the reasons why Tony Banks is watching David Carr.
So 3rd and 4. Texans lead 17-10. The out route intercepted. Mike Adams. And Adams will score. Mike Adams, who moved over this week from free safety to left corner, and he has a big play for the 49ers.
Well, just a 3-man rush, and that's really what gets home, and Tony Banks never sees him and makes a bad decision on this throw.
40-yard interception return for a touchdown. And with 10 seconds remaining in the 3rd, we're tied at 17.
I got to give some props to Mike Adams. I mean, hey, there's my guy, a Delaware guy, University of Delaware graduate. Just watch him here. He buzzes out underneath Morgan, and Tony Banks throws this one. And that's the thing with Tony Banks. I mean, he'll make some great throws, but the problem with him is in his repertoire is always a bad decision. And that's really been the makeup of him over the years, even when he's with the Rams and some of these other teams. And just those poor decisions at critical times in a ball game. That was just a bad decision by a guy that should have known better.
And the 5th defensive touchdown of the season for the 49ers.
That's the thing in the National Football League. You know, one of his first throws was for the touchdown, and he's excited. We saw him on the sidelines and relaxing and enjoying himself. The thing he had to do as a quarterback in the National Football League is he had to be able to turn the page. When you make a great throw or a great play, you have to be able to forget about it and focus on the next one. Same thing here. You make a bad decision now. Make the corrections on the sidelines and go back out and find a way to get your team back in this.
Now we're starting to get a little bit of rain mixed in with this healthy breeze here in San Francisco. Adams will go back to work on special teams. Jerome Mathis set to return it. He's brought back 2 for touchdowns this year. And that floats down to the 7-yard line. Mathis up the sidelines and finally brought out of bounds at the 47-yard line. Well, Tuesday, January 17th on CBS, Tom Cavanaugh stars as a record executive who knows everything about music, but has a lot to learn about love. Don't miss the new series, Love Monkey, coming January 17th to CBS, America's #1 network. And they're going to bring this one back. We have a penalty flag down, so that will negate the nice return by Mathis.
One of their best players this year. You know you're not a good football team when your best player is your kicker. And Joe Nedney, coming off of 2 knee surgeries and had the 56-yarder a week ago, makes the tackle. But he's been a consistent performer for them this season.
Final play of the 3rd quarter coming up. Banks slings it out to Morency, who makes a nice move and gets it out to the 34-yard line. And that is the end of the 3rd quarter. We're tied at 17, a quarter to go to see who has the #1 pick in the upcoming NFL Draft. We'll return after this message to work from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, America's #1 network. Here in San Francisco, down to 3 teams who can get the #1 pick in the NFL Draft this spring. New Orleans lost today, so they're still in the hunt.
They did their part.
Audible from Banks. 1st and 10 from the 35 for the Texans, and they didn't get it off in time.
Away game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
Yes.
Houston, if the Texans lose, then they are the clear-cut #1 in terms of the opportunity to get Reggie Bush, should he announce or package that pick and bring some additional talent to this Texan roster. Don Capers, a lot of people believe that this will be his last game as the head coach of the Houston Texans. 4 wide receivers for Houston. 1st and 15 from the 30 now. 49ers showing blitz. And Banks has to take a timeout. So we'll step away. We're tied at 17.
Tony Banks taking a delay of game, and then he comes up to the line of scrimmage right after the break, and he can't sort through the looks, and he's forced to use a timeout. Not what you'd expect from a veteran guy.
Confusion for the Texans to start the 4th quarter. Banks drills it. That's Donovan Morgan. 1st-year free agent out of Louisiana Lafayette, and that quiets the crowd.
And if you're Joe Pendry, the offensive coordinator for the Texans, you're concerned because Tony Banks obviously hasn't had the reps in practice. And now you have some check with knees at the line of scrimmage where you're calling different plays, 2 plays in the huddle. And he's having a hard time sorting through the different looks that the 49ers are giving him.
Pick up a 14. 2nd and 1. Morency out to midfield. $67 yards for Morency. And the Texans have lost 5 games this season when leading or tied in the 4th quarter.
Well, that's what they have not done. They've been in a lot of close games, and like you'd expect across the board in the National Football League, they're all going to be close, but they have not been able to win the close ones. They've not been able to finish people off in the 4th quarter, and that's the reason why they're 2-13.
Now they've given up 4th quarter leads in 4 of their last 5 games. Out to the sidelines, Gaffney ridden out of bounds at the 42-yard line. Last week, the Texans led 2017 against Jacksonville with 12:15 remaining and ended up on the low end of a lopsided score. Time of possession still overwhelmingly in favor of the 49ers. 2nd and 2.
Again, that same formation, 2 tight end formation, just trying to sort through the looks for the 49ers.
Morency down to the 41-yard line.
See Bryant Young in that mix there. Their veteran Pro Bowl player who hurt his knee and who's battled back through injuries. He said it's been a frustrating year, and so they put so much time in and haven't seen the results, but nobody's moping. They understand this is going to be a building process for them. It's going to take time, and they believe that they're heading in the right direction. The staff is cleaning up really somebody else's mess, and they believe they have the people in place to get it done. It takes people like Bryant Young, guys with experience, some toughness, some determination to pull you through the difficult times.
3rd and 1. Morency and a flag. Julian Peterson made the tackle, but there's a penalty flag.
Personal foul, crackback, number 85, offense. 15-yard penalty, repeat 3rd down.
Corey Bradford.
That's just devastating. You got a 3rd and 1. That's the thing. You have to understand the situation as a player. You look at Corey Bradford not knowing the situation, and you just can't go back in there and cut somebody down there. And that's just against the rules, and that's how guys get hurt. Just hit him up high. You got a good angle. You're in the right position. Just take a shot up there. Use those shoulder pads. That's why you wear them. Don't go down there and try and cut a guy. Get him hurt, especially when it's against the rules.
They have to get it all the way down to the San Francisco 40-yard line for a 1st down. We want to welcome those of you watching Tennessee and Jacksonville. The Texans on 3rd and long. We're tied at 17 here in San Francisco. This is the game that will determine who gets the number 1 pick in this April's NFL draft, and an opportunity to draft perhaps Reggie Bush should he declare and give up his senior season at USC, the Heisman Trophy winner. So the Texans will have to punt.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You got a 3rd and 1, and it's just a mental error by Corey Bradford and not able to overcome that.
Otis Amy is back deep for San Francisco. Bill McAtee along with Rich Gannon. Good to have you with us. A high punt. They let it bounce, and it rolls inside the 10-yard line, back nearly to the 7. So 11:14 remaining. We're locked at 17.
Hey. Thanks for meeting me.
Sure. Who are they?
I'm switching networks.
What?
Listen, this just wasn't right. They have fewer dropped calls, and I can also watch amazing music videos.
Oh, we can do videos? Nancy.
Stop. You're embarrassing yourself.
America's most reliable wireless network is taking mobile entertainment to the next level. Verizon Wireless, it's the network.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon Wireless. We never stop working for you. Best Buy, thousands of possibilities. Get yours. And by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
The rain starting to fall a little harder here at Monster Park. 49ers take over from their own 7-yard line. 11:14 left to play. Tied at 17. Alex Smith has thrown his first NFL touchdown pass today. He gives to Maurice Hicks. And Hicks is out across the 10 to the 13-yard line. Well, the potential prize that awaits the team with the #1 pick is number 5 from USC, the Heisman Trophy winner, Reggie Bush, who has not declared for the draft yet. He'll do it after the Rose Bowl if he's going to come out, but the speculation is that he will indeed. And the race for #1, or the stagger for #1, Houston, New Orleans, San Francisco, after the result earlier today, those are the 3 teams remaining for a shot at the #1 pick. Smith, last year's #1 pick, incomplete. That was intended for the fullback, Chris Hetherington.
Well, I'll tell you what, Reggie Bush will probably look good in a lot of different uniforms, but I think the 49ers would love to have this guy. I think he brings so much to the table. His ability to run the ball, and he's a great pass catcher. He's not afraid to get up in there and block in terms of protection, but he had the ability to split him out as a receiver and in the slot. He does so much. He brings so much to the table. You went out and spent a lot of money on your first-round pick last year in Alex Smith. It'd be nice to have another great back in there, Reggie Bush.
3rd and 3. Smith from the shotgun. Incomplete. And he was under a lot of pressure. Intended for Brandon Lloyd. Well, Alex Smith has a little bit of history with Reggie Bush back at Helix High School in San Diego. In fact, they've stayed close. Alex said he talks to Reggie on the phone quite a bit. Not really much about football. He said they talk about life and really everything else but football.
Well, he's hard to tackle in the open field. Look at all those missed tackles. And obviously not a lot of those guys playing in the National Football League, but I'll tell you what, Reggie Bush is going to be a great one.
Andy Lee, the punter, to Donovan Morgan. Morgan brought down immediately. That was a risky catch. Brian Jennings made the tackle. A 37-yard punt. 10:15 remaining. Bundled up there on the sidelines. He went out at the end of the first half with an elbow injury. And since that time, we've seen Tony Banks, who's thrown a touchdown pass and an interception that was returned for a touchdown. On 1st down, lets it go. That's caught. Marcellus Rivers, and let's check in with Greg Gumbel for an NFL update from New York. Greg?
Hey, Bill, the things you can do when you get a chance to get some playing time. Undrafted Quinn Gray out of Florida A&M, his 2nd touchdown pass of the day. A 14-yarder to Ernest Wolford, 40-0. Jacksonville leading Tennessee, guys.
Thank you, Greg. Quinn Gray, the 3rd quarterback for Jacksonville. Now, that's impressive. 2nd and 5 for the Texans. 17-17 tie. Morency couldn't quite get the corner. Brought down at the 44-yard line by Julian Peterson, former Pro Bowl linebacker.
So, Bill, do you start Quinn Gray, or do you start David Garrard, or Byron Leftwich? Hey, that's amazing. You know, the talk about who will play next week, and I would go with David Garrard, a guy that really played well for them the last month. And the thing that concerns me with Leftwich is where he is in terms of his conditioning. Hasn't really practiced or played much in the last 5 or 6 weeks, and so go with the guy that's got you there. Go with the guy that's hot. That's David Garrard.
4 wide receivers on 3rd and 4. The out route, that's caught. A 1st down. Jerome Mathis. Oh, the playoff picture all set in the AFC. Pittsburgh locked up the 6th seed earlier today, so they are in as the second wild card team.
I'd keep an eye on those two, New England and Indianapolis. I think that, I think that the Colts will find a way to get it going again. It's unfortunate what happened with the Tony Dungy situation, but they're a good football team, and they're playing better defensively. And of course, New England, you can never count them out.
Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, our wild card game next Sunday here on CBS. Banks still has it, and he stumbled and slipped at the 46-yard line and just tried to get rid of it.
The field's starting to get a little slick, especially between the hashes, and you can see it looks pretty bad from here, and comes out to his left and just stumbles, and he does the next best thing. He's smart. He knows he has to get rid of it and just finds a way not to take the sack. And smart heads-up play by Tony Banks.
So 2nd and 10 from the San Francisco 38-yard line. Less than 8.5 minutes remaining. Banks, that's caught. That's Rivers. Marcellus Rivers. And Rivers gets it down to the 17-yard line. Former Giant, he's become more a part of the Texan offense in recent weeks. 8 catches in his last 2 games.
Well, Rivers just runs a little flat route. This is really the tight end has virtually been non-existent in both of these offenses. And if they're going to throw the ball, this is the guy they want to throw to in terms of the tight end. Bruner Moore, their blocker, and Marcellus Rivers, the receiving tight end. And again, big catch and a big run after the catch.
That was good for 20 yards. Texans are threatening. Morency cuts back down to the 15-yard line.
Well, Houston's starting to run the ball a little bit, and again, getting Morency going. And he's a lot like Dominic Davis in terms of his quickness. He has that burst once he finds a running lane. He's not as polished in terms of sorting things out as a Dominic Davis who has that experience, but he's becoming more patient, and he's finding a way to hit that hole downhill.
2nd and 7. Banks in the short drop. Out to Rivers. Emmanuel and Peterson combined to make the tackle.
Well, they're starting to wear down a little bit in the secondary, and we said earlier that 3 of their 6 cornerbacks on the roster are out of the lineup, and again, you're asking guys like Julian Peterson to do different things, to get out over the slot, to walk out over the slot, and cover some of the receivers in space, and that's not something he does well. And you got to tip your hat to the Texans coaches who use a lot of 3 and 4 wide receiver sets to take advantage of these matchups.
They have to get to the 8-yard line for a first down on 3rd and 5. Banks from the shotgun. Lost it into the end zone. Incomplete. He overthrew Jabbar Gaffney, who couldn't quite get there.
A little late with the throw, and you watch Gaffney, he's actually open, and Mike Adams falls back underneath, and he should have used more of the sidelines, throwing that ball back to the back pylon, and that one just drifts upfield, and there's no way Gaffney can make that catch and get his feet down in bounds.
So we'll see Chris Brown, who has had his problems at times this season. A 31-yard field goal try. No good. And what do you think about that if you're a Texan fan? We're still tied at 17.
Protect your family with life insurance from Prudential.
And after you see it,
What's my sister doing here?
Am I under arrest?
All on CBS is sponsored by IBM. Become an on-demand business. IBM can help. And by Prudential Financial. Choose Prudential Financial to help you grow and protect your wealth.
We welcome you back to San Francisco. .607 left to play. Chris Brown after the missed field goal. Tied at 17. And the 49ers are going to take a timeout. 17-17. 49ers back to work. Alex Smith has already today thrown his first NFL touchdown pass. 1st and 10 from the 21-yard line. Gore. Maybe a couple. Well, the Texans have had some close losses in the second half of the season. Week 12, the Rams tied it with 4 seconds left and then won it in overtime. Week 13 at Baltimore, Ravens marched down the field. Matt Stover with the game winner from 36 yards out with 6 seconds remaining. Rob Baronis put the Titans ahead with 10 seconds left, and Chris Brown missed a game-tying field goal from 31 yards out. So very close losses for the Texans. Gore cuts it back and a first down. Frank Gore, the rookie out of Miami.
And we talked to Coach Capers. He said, hey, they're the 3 toughest losses I've ever been associated with in all my years of coaching. And I asked him what his biggest disappointment was this season. He said, hey, look, our inability to win close games. You know, we win a lot of games. We just weren't able to find a way to get over the hump and to win it in the 4th quarter. And again, in my opinion, it gets back to experience. I don't know that there's enough veteran experience and leadership on this football team to win in those close games.
From the 32, Gore again drives forward to the 39-yard line.
Well, I can tell you what Mike McCarthy's telling his young quarterback right now. He's telling his quarterback, you tell those guys up front, we're going to run this ball. We're going to continue to run the ball. We got 4.5 minutes to go in this game. We're going to stick it right down their throats. And that's what you got to sell. You got to sell those guys in the huddle. And hey, look, we're going to get it done. Stick with me. Hey, keep pounding away. Hey, backs, keep hitting the holes. And that's what he's telling his young quarterback.
This is what the 49ers want to do, run the football. They averaged 7.5 yards a run last week against the Rams. Out across the 40 to the 41-yard line. Frank Gore again. Robert Smith, the right defensive end, made the stop.
Well, the impressive thing is the 49ers have been able to do it with both their backs. Frank Gore and Maurice Hicks. They've been interchanging. They've been coming on and off the field. They've been subbing for each other, so they are fresh. And they're both similar. They both have similar styles. They're able to take the ball, make one cut, and get north and south. And that's something that they like to do here in San Francisco.
3rd and 1. Jumbo package for the 49ers. Gore, first down.
Well, they had success with that earlier. That's their old 14 blast, just following Anthony Adams. And why not leave him in the game? Leave him in the game for another play. But you just watch Adams. He's going to come right up the end of the line of scrimmage. He's just looking for a cleanup block and doesn't really get it. He just gets his body in the way. And Frank Gore is able to find some openings. But hey, they need to continue to run the ball. They're just milking the clock. And
they had to help the tight end Steve Bush off the field again on the ground. This is Maurice Hicks, who has checked in for Gore. And coming up, time permitting, after the game, the Subway post-game show. Join Greg, Dan, Shannon, and Boomer for all the latest NFL scores, highlights, and playoff news from this final Sunday of the regular season. That's all coming up on the Subway post-game show.
You talk about how injuries affect you. They lost Shante Orr. Now they have Jason Babbitt in there at linebacker. Again, we talked about a guy that's undersized to play that position. And in my opinion, he's getting pushed around in the running game.
From the 48-yard line, 7th play of the drive. And all 7 have been running plays to midfield. And that will take us to the 2-minute warning. We're tied at 17 here in San Francisco.
Everyone talks about how tough their truck is, how much it can haul. But when we build a truck, we like to think beyond the first load, to the second, the third, the fourth. That's why load after load, year after year, nothing stops a Tundra. Toyota trucks, moving forward. Special financing and lease options available now.
Get your checkbook ready. Your chance is coming, plus the science of living longer. That's on 60 Minutes, followed by Cole Cased and Diane Keaton. Stars in the world premiere movie Surrender Dorothy tonight on CBS, America's #1 network. There's Joe Nedney, and he had a 56-yarder last week. Figure he has to get somewhere down to the 38-yard line in that vicinity to have a shot. Gore, Frank Gore, out of bounds at the 35.
Well, they run the toss play, and they're going to pull the guard, and they get out in front, and they got a short edge here, and they don't have they don't have any contain, the Texans, and they just give them the edge, and that's something that, again, you just scratch your head and you say, who's responsible for contain on that play? And you let Frank Gore on a critical 3rd down bounce on the edge, and just unacceptable.
Maurice Hicks has checked in. 96 yards on the day for Frank Gore. All the plays in this drive have been running plays until that one. And that was a scary moment.
Yeah, real scary.
Terry Jones was the intended receiver, the tight end.
Yeah, and it's amazing, you know, Terry Jones, a guy that came over 5 or 6 weeks ago, the 3rd receiver in Baltimore. Now it goes to show you the situation here in San Francisco. He's actually been starting for them, and again, a ball doesn't really quite see it. When we talk about throwing to tight ends, you got to put it on him. You can't expect him to make those difficult catches. Look like that one just slipped through his hands.
2nd and 10. Hicks, and he'll lose a couple. C.C. Brown, the free safety, made the tackle.
You got some decisions now, and those first 2 plays didn't help them, and now they're forced with the 3rd and 12.
Texans take a timeout, 1:37 remaining. Terrific first half, 11 of 14, but in the second half has cooled off considerably, 3 of 12 for only 32 yards.
Well, one thing they have done is they have run it well, and what they've not done a very good job is the 3rd downs, and again faced with another critical one right here.
3rd and 12. They are right at the range for Joe Nedney. Frank Gore, the lone running back. Gore. Forward progress down to the 35-yard line. The first man to hit him was Robert Smith. And some extracurriculars. One of the officials goes down.
And this is where you got to use your head and show some poise in this situation. The 49ers have forced a difficult decision here, and you got players on the field pushing each other. And you watch him trying to break it up, and Bill Levy goes down. That's not a very athletic move on his part. But I mean, a critical situation in the game, you got players out there pushing each other, not understanding the situation. You get a penalty there, Joe Nedney's got no chance. Now they bring him on and try to give him a chance, but can't afford a penalty in that situation.
Well, he's going to have to deal with the swirling wind here at Monster Park. He had a 56-yarder against St. Louis last week to tie a 49er record. The Texans will take their final timeout to try to ice Nedney a bit.
And what happened there was 49ers were late with making their decision, and then the Texans were forced to run their field goal block unit out, and everybody's scrambling around trying to figure out what was going on.
Well, let's play a game of scruples here. If you're a Texan fan and you're thinking about that #1 pick, are you rooting for him to make this, or are you rooting for him to miss it?
If you're a Texans fan, you're probably rooting for him to make it. Or maybe miss it. I don't know. I tell you, I like Reggie Bush, but I just think that this football team needs more help than just Reggie Bush. We talked about it in the open. I think they need a number of players, and I think they'd be better served by maybe trading that pick and getting a couple different players, maybe some offensive linemen, a tight end. They have a lot of needs.
Well, now they've changed things up, and looks like they're going to punt it.
Looks like some charades. Maybe a fake punt. Who knows? I think it is a smart play. Punt him back. Still have some timeouts. If you're the 49ers, you have two. You play some defense. Try and get the ball back and win this game.
Andy Lee back at midfield. Donovan Morgan is the deep man. Pooches it, and it bounds down, and is it a touchback? It is. They'll bring it out to the 20. .50 seconds remaining. And McCadley, as you can see from that replay, was in the end zone, so that makes it a touchback.
You see the conditions. Players starting to slip around a little bit. The footing becoming an issue here and a problem. And again, the balls get wet and slick, and got to be careful if you're a quarterback in this situation.
Well, we've had record rainfall here in the Bay Area over the last few days. This field has actually held up pretty well. 1st and 10 for the Texans. Less than a minute remaining.
Ball start.
Ball start.
Number 69 offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Chester Pitts, the left tackle.
I don't want to pick on anybody, but that's what 2 and 13 football teams do. Critical situations, your team's trying to go for a win, and they just, again, it's basically concentration. Just concentrate and understand the situation. Just sitting in, and showing some poise, and again, 2 and 13 football team. It's what you put on film is what you are.
1st and 15. Nothing for Morency. Clock stops. 45 seconds remaining. The 49ers take a timeout. Let's take a look back at some of the scoring today. Morency got the scoring started for the Texans, a touchdown pass. And then Banks to Corey Bradford. Banks again, but this time to the 49ers. Mike Adams brings it 40 yards the other way.
Pride of Delaware. Pride of Newark, Delaware, the Blue Hens.
And we're tied at 17.
He needs to come up with another big play sometime in this game. Get Mike Adams back out there, and he's playing again. Here's your nickel back, Mike Adams, and he's actually going to play corner because they're so short in the back end.
2nd and 11. 49ers have 1 timeout remaining. Again on the ground. Morency to the 25-yard line.
Timeout, San Francisco. That's their third or
Final timeout taken by the 49ers with 40 seconds left. And for those of you expecting to see 60 minutes, you're watching the NFL on CBS in the game between the Houston Texans and the San Francisco 49ers. Bill McAtee along with Rich Gannon. We're tied at 17. 60 minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately following this game, except on the West Coast.
Well, it's a good timeout by the 49ers now. Force the Texans to make a decision on 3rd and 5 and hopefully force them to punt. You just never know what'll happen. Maybe a bad snap, or you go after them, try and get a block, and anything can happen. Texans again just content to kneel down here and play for overtime.
Content to play for overtime. San Francisco out of timeouts. They can't stop the clock. So the teams will go to the sidelines and get ready for overtime as you take a look at the race for number 1 as it is. Texans, if they lose, they have the number 1 draft pick And an opportunity to select Reggie Bush, the Heisman Trophy winner, should he decide to come out. New Orleans and San Francisco both still alive.
This is the end of the regulation game.
So that will end regulation. Tied at 17. Coin toss will decide who gets the football. 1 15-minute period. Each team will have a couple of timeouts. No coaches' challenges for replay. They will only come from the booth, and the first team to score wins.
Well, I've had some bad experiences in overtime, especially as a Raider. It seemed like every time we lost the toss, we'd lose the game. We never got a chance to get on the field offensively. I'd say a lot for our defense, but I think...
All right, captains, we're going to have a sudden death overtime period played of up to 15 minutes. Fourth quarter timing rules will be used. Each team will be given 2 timeouts. All replays will be initiated by the replay booth. Any questions? You're the visitors. What's your call? Heads is the call. It's tails. You won the toss. What direction would you like to kick?
49ers will get it.
Turn around here, please. San Francisco has won the toss. Will receive. Good luck, gentlemen.
So we're set for sudden death here in San Francisco, tied at 17 at the end of regulation. 31 yards with just over 6 minutes remaining that could have won it. Here it is for the Texans, and it didn't miss by much.
Just shows you how much that wind is swirling, and that was heading right at the right upright, just got pushed at the end.
49ers will get it to start the overtime period. Amy bobbles it at the 5. Brought down hard at the 20-yard line.
This is the continuing evolution and the continuing training for Alex Smith, an opportunity to play in an overtime game and to lead your team down to a dramatic victory. And you know, he did a great job last week. They got behind against the Rams, and he was somehow able to keep his focus and his poise and direct his football team, and he's got another opportunity here today.
Well, Alex Smith is 0 for his last 9 attempts. First down, they spotted at the 21-yard line. Gore cuts back inside and picks up a couple. It'll be second and about 8.
And if you're the Texans, you know, they had a bunch of 3-and-outs earlier in the first half, and that's what you want now. You want your standing on the sidelines, your Dom Capers. You want to find a way to get a 3-and-out, force the 49ers to punt, and get some good field positioning.
Frank Gore with a 100-yard game, the first of his career. He'll get it again. Tough yards to the 26-yard line.
I get the sense that Mike McCarthy, the play caller, being a little conservative. He knows his young quarterback has struggled a little bit here in the second half and not thrown the ball particularly well, and so he's trying to do everything he can to run the ball and not put him in difficult situations. But at some times you have to let go of the leash a little bit, let him go play, and I'd like to see more of here in this 2 minute in this overtime.
This is the first meeting ever between the 49ers and the Texans, and it has been a memorable one. On 3rd and 4, Smith, the 3-step drop, the slant, incomplete, well defended, but a flag. Dante Robinson may get called for pass interference. Jason McCadley was the intended receiver on the slant.
Prior to the pass, holding, number 26 defense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic first down.
Wow. Well, they called it on Glenn Earl, the strong safety. So that will be a first down for San Francisco. They'll spot it at the 49er 31-yard line. Overtime here at Monster Park, tied at 17. Frank Gore is back in. He's the deep back. Texans showing blitz. Here they come on the toss. It's a wall. at the 30-yard line. And Glenn Earl, the strong safety, was the first man there.
Go back and look at that last play on the pass interference. McAdley working against Dante Robinson. You see him just grab him there. And actually, at the end, does a nice job getting his hand on it. But the grab's what got him. And just that slant route, they've seen it a bunch today. And just not able to get his body in front of that one.
So apparently it was on Dante Robinson and not Glenn Earl. 2nd and 11 after the loss of 1. Hicks is back in for San Francisco. And Hicks will get it. And the Texans, anticipating the run, are putting 8 in the box, sometimes 9.
Well, you're hearing the boo birds, and this is a frustrating thing from a quarterback's perspective. I've been in that situation, and you can almost feel it. You know, the coach doesn't feel like I can get this thing done, and calling some runs. And now this second series in a row now where they've run the ball on 1st and 2nd down, and now you, as a quarterback, you want to give yourself a chance to succeed, but 3rd and 11s and 3rd and 12s are tough.
Smith from the shotgun. Smith gets rid of it, incomplete, and the 49ers will have to punt. Terry Jackson was the intended receiver.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've looked at a lot of film on Alex Smith, and I've seen a couple of occasions where he's come unglued. He's looked at the rush, he's been confused, and that was a perfect example right there. Wasn't sure what was happening, some indecision, and just panics in the pocket, pulls it down, looking to run, and again, that just comes with experience and time.
Andy Lee has had some problems today. Donovan Morgan back deep, lets it bounce. Rolls down close to the 30-yard line. A 39-yard punt. Now this game started with 2 of the #1 picks overall in the NFL draft at quarterback. There's David Carr, injured his elbow, so he has been out. Interception that was returned for a touchdown. Tony Banks had not played a down all year. Coming into this game all season. Banks lets it go. Incomplete at the feet of Jabbar Gaffney. Gaffney had a step.
Almost looked like Jabbar Gaffney was surprised. He wasn't even looking for that one. He's running right at the seam. It was almost as if he thought he was just running a clear route, and Tony Banks makes this throw, and look at Gaffney. He's not even looking for the ball. He gets his head around late, and then it's too late to make that adjustment to slow his body down, get himself in a position to make that catch.
Gaffney, Bradford, and Morgan are the wides on 2nd and 10. Banks slings it to the sidelines. That's Marcellus Rivers, the tight end. And he gets it out to the 36-yard line. Shante Spencer made the tackle, the right corner.
And you can see the different approaches that each team's taken. Texans coming out and being aggressive, throwing the ball in the early downs, and now to face with another critical 3rd and 5. Again, using those 4 wide receivers, getting some open sets, trying to get the matchups they want.
Mathis has checked in as the 4th wide out on 3rd down. Banks, and this is going to be a 1st down and more for the Texans. Vernon Morency. Close to midfield to the 48-yard line.
We saw this coverage earlier, 3rd and 5. They're going to run Peterson down through the middle. It's just going to be a 3-man rush. They call this a Zeke coverage. And really, there's no one to throw it to downfield, but just check it back underneath just enough for the 1st down. And I scratch my head in those situations. Rushing 3, giving a quarterback like Banks a chance to find the check down.
It was a pickup of 12 on 3rd and 5. So 1st down for Houston. Banks, who's in for David Carr, incomplete. Rivers was the intended receiver. Marcellus Rivers has been a good pickup for the Houston Texans, the former New York Giant. Chris Brown, he'd like another chance. His target line is the 35-yard line to be in his range. 2nd and 10 for the Texans. Banks on the out route. That's caught by Donovan Morgan. Morgan's a couple yards short of a first down. He had to get to the 42-yard line. They spot it at the 44.
It's amazing. You watch Donovan Morgan make that catch, and he's starting to scamper towards the sidelines. And what happens with a lot of young players, they lose their focus. They don't understand the fact, hey, they're in overtime. This isn't a 2-minute situation. He's actually trying to scamper towards the sidelines as opposed to the first down marker.
Big play here, 3rd and 2 for the Texans. Banks almost intercepted. Bradford was the intended receiver, and Keith Lewis, the free safety, had terrific coverage and a chance for the pick.
Wow, just why not run it here on 3rd and 2, and they're just running a little in route. Again, just a bad decision by Banks. Thrown into double coverage, trying to force this one in here. Surprised they didn't try and run it on 3rd and 2 in that situation.
So that will bring up 4th down. 9:27 left in the overtime period. So we have a timeout on the field before the punt. 17 well into San Francisco, and if Houston wins today, by our best calculation, the Saints would get the #1 pick, but it's not going to be determined officially until all the games today are concluded. Amy back deep, waving for the fair catch, but lets it go, and it's down inside the 5-yard line by the Texans. So a long field upcoming, and if you're building a program, that's a good way to end the season that has been filled with disappointment. That's been the case for both of these teams. Frank Gore is in at running back. 1st and 10. Smith up the sidelines. They're going to take a shot. It hangs in the air. Caught. Arnaz Battle. What a catch.
Well, just a great throw and catch, and they haven't done this all day, and they just gave Alex Smith a chance on early down, and he makes a great throw on the sidelines. And again, we talked about giving him a chance on early downs to throw the ball down the field. What a great throw and catch.
39 yards on the play. Back to the ground. Maybe 1.
On 3rd down, they've not been able to convert.
Remember, Joe Nedney has a very strong leg. He had a 56-yard field goal last week against the Rams. Off the play action. Smith buys some time, racing to the sidelines and out of bounds.
In the throwing lane where Alex has a throw.
Babin and Jerry DeLoach applied the pressure. So 3rd and 9 for the 49ers. Smith steps up, gets rid of it. Gore. Excuse me, that's Terry Jackson, and Jackson is brought down at the 49-yard line. So the 49ers will have to punt.
Illegal use of the hands, number 77, hands to the face. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
It's called on Quaim Harris, the right tackle. Penalty will be declined. 4th down.
You look at Quaim Harris at the top of your screen, and he's had his hands full today, and just gets him up a little high on Jason Babin. Official right there to make that call.
Andy Lee. Donovan Morgan is the deep man. Again, lets it bounce. It takes a 49er roll inside the 5, down to the 4.
Well, that pass play from Alex Smith to Arnaz Battle could be huge in this game. You're talking
49ers would like a good defensive stand here. The crowd is certainly into it. 6:52 remaining in overtime. On the ground, Morency and Bryant.
He tore his meniscus, and here he is battling in week 17 and making a big stop in the backfield.
2nd and 9. Morency with 82 yards and a touchdown from just beyond the 5-yard line. Banks in for David Carr, and this is a first down, complete to Moore. Depleted San Francisco secondary. They're without their top 3 cornerbacks. In fact, they have a safety, Mike Adams, playing left corner. On first down from the 16, Banks up top. And there's Mike Adams, his 2nd interception. He laterals it to Emmanuel, Ben Emmanuel. And how about this?
Could go. Oh, unbelievable. We talked about the deep throws and how the wind makes a difference. And Tony Banks throws this one up to Corey Bradford. This one just hangs up there in the wind. And Mike Adams makes the adjustment back underneath. Now he makes the smart play, lateral to his teammate Ben Emmanuel. He almost scores with this thing. You watch this run. You watch the 49er guys now. They're trying to make blocks down the field. And a bunch of Texas guys standing around waiting for someone else to make the tackle.
Emmanuel had the late interception last week at the San Francisco 19-yard line to ice the game against the Rams. So how aggressive are you at this point if you're the 49ers?
You're going to be smart here. And you love nothing else than to run it a couple, 3 or 4 times to get yourself down inside that 15-yard line and kick a field goal.
Gore is the deep back from the 22, and they give it to Gore. Inside the 20, down to close to the 16-yard line. Seth Payne made the tackle.
Again, they're well within Joe Nedney's range, and you're Mike McCarthy and calling plays for the 49ers. You're telling your guys, hey, look, just keep pushing them, keep pounding away up front there. We're going to run the ball, and if you're the quarterback, you're telling Frank Gore, hey, 2 hands on the ball. Hold on to the ball, because you know the Texans are going to be trying to strip the ball in this situation.
Nedney 25 of 27 on field goal tries this season. 2nd and 6. Score. 49ers with a chance to end the season with 2 wins as the Texans take a timeout. And if this is good, the Texans will have the #1 pick into ice.
Well, I was in training camp with Joe Nedney. We had him in Oakland, and we drafted Sebastian Janikowski in the 1st round, and he watched this win. It's hound both this way, so he'll have to start this kick over here at this left upright, but he didn't miss a kick all camp.
Well, we saw him practice. Rich, we saw him practicing this kick in the pregame. He starts it out to the left and lets the wind blow it to the right. This will be a 33-yard field goal try to win it.
Just what he did. Started it right there. You called it, Bill.
In overtime. More than likely, the Dom Capers era in Houston has come to an end. 20-17, 49ers. The Texans will have the first pick in the NFL draft.
Well, that's a big win for the 49ers, and it's something for them to build on as they move into the offseason. Great come from behind, dramatic overtime win for the Niners.
Nedney knew right away that it was good. And what a way to finish out the regular season. So for Rich Gannon, I'm Bill McAtee saying so long from Monster Park tonight on CBS 60 Minutes, followed by Cold Case. Then the world premiere movie, Surrender Dorothy. For all of us at CBS Sports, thanks for being with us. So long from San Francisco. You've been watching the NFL on CBS, America's #1 network.